Howdy folks, welcome back to my World of Tanks replays with the mighty Jingles, and as you can see we're in the garage with the Type 62, the new Chinese premium tier 6 light tank. As of today, recording this video, the 24th of August, the Type 62 is on sale in the gift shop, along with the Type 59 is back on sale, and the German Micro Mouse, the Panzer 38H735F, is also back on sale. So limited time only. If you want any of these tanks, now is the time to get them. But we're looking at the Type 59, and here it is. Oh, the Type 59, Type 62. Very easy to mistake it for the Type 59. Superficially, they look very, very similar, but the differences are, or the similarities rather, are completely superficial. This is not a brawling medium. This is a light tank, and it's a very fragile light tank with that. So let's have a quick look at the stats, and I'm going to try and power through this. I don't want to be spending another 21 minutes in the garage talking about a tank when I could be showing you replays. So it has almost 700 hit points, 690. That's pretty good. It's a very light tank. It only weighs, well, mine weighs in at 21.05 tons, but the power to weight ratio isn't that good. It only has a 430 horsepower engine, so its top speed is 50 kilometers per hour, and its power to weight ratio is, wrong tank, there it is, 20.43. Now, to put that into perspective for you, compare it against the tier 5 light tanks, it has the worst power to weight ratio by far. The ELC AMX 34.92, the M24 Chaffee 25.12, and the T50-2 34.69. Now, I'm going to spend a lot of time comparing the Type 62 to the Chaffee, and there's a good reason for that. Now, the Chaffee is considered to be not fast enough to be an active scout, as in like the T50-2 or the VK2801 or the ELC AMX, zipping around, rushing through the enemy lines, detecting everybody, zipping around, dodging fire, causing havoc. The Chaffee just isn't really fast enough to do that because its top speed is 56 kilometers per hour, even though and it has the slowest acceleration and power to weight ratio of any of the tier 5s. But it's got better acceleration, better top speed, and a better power to weight ratio than the Type 62, which means that if the Chaffee isn't fast enough to be an active scout, the Type 62 definitely isn't fast enough to be an active scout. So please, please, please stop trying to be a T50-2 in this thing, because it doesn't work and you just die. So that's the mobility, but it's not all about the mobility, because it also does have a very, very good traverse speed. It turns at 45 degrees per second, and the turret turns at 46 degrees per second, which suggests that it's very, very good at brawling. Well, no, it isn't. It's no Type 59. I mean, by all means, if you do come across a heavy tank in the open with space to maneuver around him and no friends nearby, you will give them a seriously hard time in this tank, because it is very, very good. I mean, it's fast. It's not just not fast enough to be an active scout, and you can quite easily zip around large, heavy tanks, big tank destroyers, and pummel their sides and rear in this thing. It is good at doing that. And in that respect, it's a lot like the French light tanks with the autoloaders, like the AMX 1375 or the AMX 1390. But we're getting ahead of ourselves slightly here. It's back to the stats. And the reason I say that this thing is not a brawling tank is because of the armour, which is shockingly bad. The front of the hull, even though it has the same armour layout as a Type 59 or to a degree a T44 and T54, that is only 25mm thick. And it's 25 at the sides, and it's 16 at the rear. The turret, and it looks just like the really bouncy Type 59 turret. Well, this one isn't, because it's 50mm at the front, 36 at the sides, 36 at the rear, and the kind of guns that are going to be firing at you in this thing, just the caliber and the size of the shells that are coming at you will be able to overmatch the angle of your armour and penetrate it anyway. You cannot rely on these sloped armour to protect you from anything other than other light tanks of tier 6 or lower. You may get some bounces, you cannot count on it. The only thing that's going to keep you alive if something shoots at you and hits you is that 690 hit points. Now, and this is why I keep comparing this thing to the Chaffee, it does have good view range. That's only 10 meters shorter than the Chaffee, and the Chaffee has an exceptional view range for a light tank. and it does have pretty good signal range as well, 660 meters. So while this thing is certainly not an active scout like the VK2801 or the ELC AMX or the T50-2, it does make a pretty good passive scout or bush scout. And in that it's not the fastest, but it's fast enough just to get forward into a vantage point, and then using that 390 meter view range to spot enemy tanks, and using that 660 meter signal range to relay that position on the minimap to friendly artillery, tank destroyers and heavies, and let them do the killing for you. And that's something that the Chaffee is also very good at. And then, when you judge the time is right, leap out of the bush, just like the Chaffee is very good at doing, and start savaging the wounded, isolated enemy heavies and tank destroyers with that 85mm gun. Now, and this is kind of like the polar opposite of the Type 59, whereas the Type 59 has got great armour and a crappy gun. The T62 here has crappy armour and a pretty good gun. And the gun, it's not bad. And I'm going to compare it to the Chaffee's gun because it's the one that it's the most similar to. They're both Tier 6 tank guns, even though the Chaffee's only a Tier 5 tank. So there's the Chaffee's gun, and you can see that the Type 62's gun has over half the rate of fire. The Chaffee's gun definitely fires faster. But the Type 62, you get a shot off every 5 seconds or so, depending on crew skills and equipment fitted. So it ain't slow firing by any stretch of the imagination. It's just not as fast as any of the Tier 5 light tanks. Penetration is almost the same as the Chaffee's gun, and the Chaffee's gun does have very good penetration. So 130 penetration on this gun is good enough for get through the sides and rear of most enemy vehicles. The damage is very, very good. 160. That's nearly double the damage of the T50-2's ZIS-4 57mm gun. Not incredibly accurate, 0.39 accuracy. So you don't want to be sniping with this thing. And you'll see why in some of the replays. And the aiming time is not great, 2.3 seconds. I've seen worse, but the Chaffee's definitely got the edge there with its 1.7 second aiming time. So there's the gun. It's not great, but it's not bad either. Now, equipment fit. Well, there's two real ways of fitting out the equipment on the Type 62, and it depends how you're going to play it or what your emphasis is going to be on. Now, if you're going to play this thing as a dedicated bush scout, then your choices are pretty simple. You want a camo net. In your second slot, you want binocular telescope, and your third slot is up for grabs. If you're playing as a dedicated bush scout and serious about trying to scout in this thing, then yeah, camo net, binocular telescope, and possibly either a medium caliber tank gun rammer or improved ventilation, because the refire rate on the gun isn't bad at all. It doesn't really need a medium caliber tank gun rammer, and you can still use the thing as a dedicated scout, passive scout, and then rush out and start shooting things up halfway through the battle. On the other hand, if your emphasis is going to be on a light attack tank, a lot like AMX 1390 or the AMX 1375, then your equipment fit should probably be medium caliber tank gun rammer. And at this point you have to start making some choices, because there are 3 other items of equipment that this thing would like to have as a light attack tank, but there are only 2 spare slots. So we're talking about improved ventilation, enhanced gun lane drive to improve your aiming speed, and vertical stabilizer for accuracy during movement and turret rotation. And it's entirely up to you which 2 of those 3 you go for. Now, crew skills. What I would like to have on this thing is 100% brothers in arms, followed by 100% camouflage, because this thing does have a very, very, very good camo rating. I can't prove that, I haven't seen the figures, but that seems to be the consensus of opinion on all the forums. This thing is very hard to spot. And don't forget, light tanks retain their camo value while they're moving. So I'd like to have, if money was no object and I had all the crew experience that I needed, I would like to see brothers in arms first on all of them, 100% camouflage second on all of them, and then sixth sense on the commander, snapshot on the gunner, off-road driving on the driver, and then whatever you like on the loader, because loader skills are crap. I don't know, maybe repairs. And However, I don't have that, and so I have to prioritise. And so for my first skills, well, I've gone for Sixth Sense, which is a perk and useless until it hits 100%. Now, a better idea might be to go for Mentor, and then when that reaches 100%, then swap it over for Sixth Sense. But you definitely want Snapshot on the gunner. You definitely want off-road driving on the driver. And you can just pick whatever the hell you like on the loader, because loader skills are useless. Camo, never a bad idea on a light tank. Off-road driving rather than any of the other driver skills, purely because it increases your acceleration and handling and top speed and everything on rough ground. And this thing has the worst power to weight ratio of any of the tier 5 or 6 light tanks. So you need off-road driving on this thing. Right, well, that's enough gabbing on about how the thing performs, equipment fit, and what it looks like. Let's have a look at some of those games. And so this was the second game that I played in the T62. I'm including this one purely as a shout out to 2 of the subscribers that I ran into on the enemy team. I shot one of them up. There we go. There's Met Demon in his T28. Didn't get to shoot at him, unfortunately. I mean, at the start of this game, I'm thinking, okay, there's a Chaffee on the other side, so I'm going to head over to this side, and I'll try to intercept the Chaffee, because light tanks usually like to run down this side of the map when you're in encounter mode on Ensk. Nothing coming down this way. Seems quiet this side. Oh, hi IS3. Don't mind me, I'm a bush. And there's Ricky Rolls and his Yak Tiger saying hello as well. Ricky, if you're watching this, I do apologise for shooting you in the ass. But you were too big a target for me to resist. And you see, there you go. I keep running into people who know me now that I'm putting videos up on YouTube, and I have to behave myself. I can't yell and behave like a spoiled brat in the game anymore. I have to be responsible and adult about things. It's the price of fame. So here we go. Yeah, it's very quiet down this side of the map. Maybe I can do some good. And I have, no replay would be complete without one of my dirt moments. You'll see it coming up. So there's Ricky and his Jack Tiger. Which way is he pointing? Probably not this way. And yeah, I'm not watching where I'm driving. Straight into a brick wall. Like, but he hasn't spotted me either, so it'd be rude not to take advantage of it.
We've hit them hard.
There we go, and I'll get another shot into him before he turns around. And then I need to get out of there. And I totally took advantage of the fact that he was actually typing in chat, "I love your video," and shot him as he was typing. But that other Chaffee has spotted me, and this wasn't a great game on my behalf by any stretch of the imagination. Here comes the Chaffee. Now, should I have gone for the Chaffee? Well, hell no, not with an E100 and a Yag Tiger backing him up. And I spotted their artillery, and this is why you should never fire. See that? Never really want to be firing this gun on the move.
Enemy is hit.
And that Chaffee just keeps plugging away at me. And here's the crap acceleration of this thing. And a targeting finishes me off. And yeah, that game was shit. I can't blame that one on the team. I just didn't know how to drive this tank. But, I got to shoot Ricky Rolls in the ass a few times. So it's always nice to be able to shoot at your subscribers. So anyway, enough of that. That was fairly crap. Let's move on. Now, this is a short clip. I just wanted to show you because it illustrates a problem that you're going to come across. Well, you come across this problem in most tanks. It doesn't really matter. But it can kill you very, very quickly in the Type 62. And that is retarded teammates. And enemy players who are more interested in easy kills than going for the more dangerous targets. So I've decided at this point I'm going to go and back up that AMX 1390 and, you know, help him out. Just going to pull the camera back here so you can get a good view of exactly what's going on, and I'm going to slow it down to half speed. So 1390, 100%, me 100%, Lorraine 100%. The Lorraine puts one shot into the 1390, then the very second I come around the corner, instead of shooting at the Lorraine, he senses an easy kill and he starts shooting at me. So I try to back up, get that wreckage between myself and the Lorraine. But what's coming? A retarded teammate. Pins me in place, rams me, and ensures I can't get out of the way, and the Lorraine gets the kill. But that doesn't matter to our Lorraine, because he got to get the killing blow. Now, that is just the fact of life when you're driving a light tank. This is going to be a problem in any light tank that you drive, but it's going to be a significant problem in the Type 62. You're going to come across, I mean, I was talking in the garage about partnering up with other tanks and going around and assisting them, and it's not really a valid tactic, not the Type 62, because everybody who sees you is going to just think easy kill and you will be the first one they shoot at. It doesn't matter who you're with, people are going to do that. You're going to come across two different kinds of enemy player. You're going to come across the idiots who are just going to think easy kill and will shoot at you first because you're the lowest tier tank attacking him, or you'll come across intelligent players who think I don't want him scooting around behind me and I'm going to kill him first. So wolf packing up with the Type 62 doesn't really work unless you wolf pack up with enough tanks that can kill whatever you come across before it kills you, because every time they're going to try to kill you first, and you just can't afford to get shot at in this thing. 690 health isn't enough, and it isn't helped by having retarded teammates like that Lorraine driver. Unfortunately, that is a fact of life playing World of Tanks. So, moving on. So, a few more absolutely awful games later, and I found myself defending Malinovka in an assault map. And, well, this is an example of how not to bush scout. And that's what I've decided I'm going to do here. Ideally, the idea is you get your tanks down, you don't do what that Panther 2's doing, he's going too far ahead, or that Type 59, or this bloody IS-3, you're going too far down the hill. You sit in cover, here they come. I should be safe to shoot at this point, except that Panther 2 managed to get himself tracked right in front of the E50M, and now the E50M can use him as cover from all of our guns. Panther 2 moves out of the way, now it starts shooting. Okay.
We nailed it bad.
Oh, here they come.
Penetration. Enemy is hit.
Tracked him. Yes. Come on. Where's he gone? Oh, crap, Chaffee. Oh, he's still tracked. Let's finish him off. There we go. Right. So, everybody who's run off in front of me is dead, because they went too far forward. And now I'm going to park my ass in this bush, because believe it or not, we couldn't finish off that E50M. And I'm going to spot them as they come up the hill, and hopefully the guys behind me are going to kill them. Now, this is bush spotting, but what you have to do when you're bush spotting is not shoot. So this is totally the wrong way to do it. And I take a good hit there. Don't know what from. Back off, break cover. Now you'd think I'd have learnt my lesson at this point. Move back up into my bush. And wait. And I'm actually in a fantastically good position here to spot for the guys on the hill behind me. Even though there are far too many of them on the hill behind me, this was another retarded team. And there ain't nearly enough in the woods over by the church, but the woods over by the church ain't my problem. Now, I shouldn't be shooting at these guys, even though it's an easy kill. Look, he's not even pointing his gun at me. And I just can't resist the urge to fire.
Penetration.
And look, I mean, I'm doing like 5% damage every time I hit him. It's a waste of time.
Enemy is hit.
Because now I'm giving my position away. And there's a KV-4 down there that we know of. And yeah, this team is completely, absolutely useless. Tiger 2, and he's not pointing his gun at me either. I managed to get away with it earlier. Now what I've done there is I've pulled back. But no, there it is. KV-4 in front of me that I already knew was there, and I knew was going to spot me as soon as I fired. I up and fired anyway. That is not how you bush scout. Bush scouting requires a lot more discipline than I displayed in that game. I should have sat in that bush and done nothing. I didn't even need to shoot at that target too. The guys on the hill behind me could have been, might not have had the view range to spot him from there, but artillery certainly would. And artillery could have killed the target 2 for me. I would have got half of the artillery's XP and credits for doing it, and then that KV-4 would have got bored, moved up, spotted him. Exactly the same would have happened. Just by sitting in that bush and doing nothing, I could have held this entire section of woods, but I didn't have the patience, didn't have the self-discipline, and I pulled my trigger. And that's what killed me. Not the KV-4, my impatience is what killed me. So that's not how you bush scout, although it's debatable with this team whether or not it would have been any good anyway. I think we're going to lose that regardless. I mean, look, we're losing 3-6 on defence, seriously. And that's because of these idiots who charged off down the woods instead of holding a defensive line here, where they could be supported by the guys on the hill. But, you know, Malinovka, it's an idiot magnet. So, here we are on Arctic. And I don't like this map on the Type 62 at all. I don't like it on any light tank. There just isn't enough cover. There's hardly anywhere to hide. And you end up with retarded M4 Shermans trying to share the same bush as you while not actually staying in cover, and then grinding their tracks up against you and alerting you, every enemy tank, to your position and trying to get you killed, because, you know, idiots are going to be idiots. On this occasion, however, this could, well, no spoilers. Here we go. There's the enemy Type 62. Now, these guys have all overextended. I've left a big gap in the line here with only a Type 62 covering it. And I sense a weakness, and I go for it. I'm not really interested in killing that Type 62. Don't really have a shot at that Type 59 or any of those guys on the corner, but they've left this big gap in their line, so I can get round. Put one shot into him, and I'm not interested in fighting this Type 62, I just want to get past him. And the 2 Jagdpanzers sense blood in the water. Good distraction. He's a dead man. Jagdpanzers are going to kill him. And I'm through. I'm through. And yes, I can finally have a good game. And there's the enemy artillery. And what's that Jagdpanther doing there? Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
One of our tracks is damaged. Bail out.
I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. Look at that. 3 enemy artillery, and I'm in the enemy base, unopposed. I finally, yes, a good game in the. Why is there a Jagdpanther in the enemy base? It's like this tank is cursed. Nothing goes right for it. But you know, it's unfair to judge the tank on this. I've had a streak of shit games in even my favourite tanks. I mean, I had a game in the Marder 2 last week. It was a tier 3 game on Malinovka, standard battle, and I was top tier. I fired 14 shots and only 2 of them hit. Sometimes, you're just going to have a shit game, regardless of what you do. And I mean, this guy's entire team must have been yelling at him, "Noob Jagdpanther, get out the base, attack, help us, noob, what you doing there?" And sure enough, Jesus, you couldn't make this shit up. But, I'll have a good game in this thing sooner or later. It just might be later rather than sooner. So I finally end up in the Type 62 on a map with wide open spaces and lots of cover. And it's a tier 7 game. You're hardly ever going to get matchmaking better than this. And if I can't do well in this game, I may as well just sell this thing. So, fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. That's an encounter battle, by the way, in case it wasn't obvious from looking at the map. And here comes a Sherman. And yeah, chances are I'm never going to hit him, but I'm not going to stop an aim. Not here, so you never know. I might hit him. I'll take the shots. There's an SU-152 shooting at me. I made it hit. Haven't been hit. Great. And we have some company. So, where's that Sherman gone? And here comes a Panzer III-4. Now, watch this. There's the Sherman. I have you now. No, don't stop there. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, for Christ's sake. No, I could have helped you. but no, you just... Seriously? Oh my God. Well, we get the Sherman anyway. Keeping an eye on what's going on behind you, because enemy types like to come down that back road and shoot you in the ass. And I know there's an SU-152 up there. Now, for all my brave talk about keeping an eye on what's coming up the road behind you, look at the map. You see what's happening on the map? Look, let's turn it around. Whoa, crap, KV-1. Me and my big mouth. Okay, so yeah, KV-1. RT, help. Now, there's a Panther here. He's got the 75mm gun. May very well be stock. Actually, I don't think he's stock. He's got the second turret. He just prefers using the 75mm. Now, that's not a terrible idea. And the 75mm can certainly handle a KV-1. And if this guy would learn how to angle his armour, he'd be able to take hits from the KV-1. But we've attracted a lot of attention down here. And there's the SU-152. That's probably a bigger threat to the Panther than the KV-1. 0.39 accuracy in this gun. I'm pretty sure that SU-152 doesn't know where I am. He's just trying to take pot shots at the Panther. To be fair, the Panther's doing alright against that. Unfortunately, that rock's in the way, so I need to back off. Come on, one more. 3%. And then somebody shoots the SU from the other side of the hill. You're never going to make this sort of shot. Unfortunately, with this gun, it's not accurate enough. Alright, screw this. I need to get up that hill. I'm going to go and deal with that KV-1. Panther's had his turn, now it's me. 301 health. Take 96 damage. And I probably will take another hit, yep. But from this point on, KV is mine. Right. Very shortly is going to be my moment of greatest vulnerability. Give this Panther credit, he does try to capitalise on our success on that corner and come here with me, but look, I mean, I only have 86 health left. And the Panther is similarly beaten up, he's sitting there on 23%. And I'm going looking for artillery. Now, this is where you're most vulnerable when you come up this back road, and I really don't like doing this in a Type 62 because it is just not fast enough. But if you can get over this ridge line unseen, you're in business.
He's gone. Find another
Right,
target.
where's the rest of their artillery? Keep moving though, because they're probably aiming at me. They're probably over there on the other side of those buildings. Oh crap, a slugger. No, don't have the gun depression to play peekaboo with him. There's a 3601 over there. Now he's AFK, but even an AFK tank can spot you. So that's not good news. I won't when that Panther can help me take care of the slugger, but ooh. And Artie do try to help, give credit where credit's due, but that M6 takes a shot at the Panther, and then they have another M7 Priest, and he finishes the Panther off, so now I'm all alone. And I'm kind of hoping that 3601 didn't spot me. It doesn't. Yeah, the M36 is chasing after me, and I am confident that I can beat the turret rotation, and I've got this slugger. I've so crap. Yeah, didn't see those guys. And well, it looked like we might win this one, but the team managed to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Let's just skip to the end. And there it is, 775 XP defeat, 34,000 credits. And you know, I figure that's, in a good game, that's probably what you're going to do in a Type 62. And that was the best game I've ever played in this thing, and it wasn't great. But I mean, it's not fair. It sounds bad saying that's the best game I ever played in it. That's the best game I played in it today, because I've only had the thing a day. And it wasn't terrible, but you know, we lost anyway. 775 XP on a defeat in a tier 6 vehicle. That's, you know, that's nothing to be ashamed of. But this is why everybody buys premium tanks. 34,000 credits. And it's only ever 3,330 to repair it, and the ammo was 150 credits a shot. You will never lose money driving this tank. It is a hard tank to master. It's harder than driving a Chaffee, and I love the T50-2, but I don't care what any T50-2 driver says. It's harder to drive a Chaffee successfully than it is to drive a T50-2 successfully. I'll drive them both. It just is. That doesn't mean T50-2 drivers are without skill. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying you need to be a better player to get the same result out of a Chaffee that you do in a T50-2, because you don't have the advantages of the T50-2 in a Chaffee, and you don't even have the advantages of a Chaffee in a Type 62, even though it's a tier higher. This is a tank that requires a good player to do well in. It's as simple as that. It doesn't have a lot going for it. It ain't fast enough. The gun ain't bad, actually. The gun's not bad at all. It's got good view range. It's got good signal range. It's very stealthy. And I reckon that, you know, with good camo skill, this thing would be a very, very good passive scout. But people don't like passive scouting. It's a very specialised game style. There are a lot of Chaffee drivers who are incredibly good at it. There are some T50-2 and VK01 drivers who are very, very good at it, although it's a bit of a waste of the potential of those two machines. But Chaffees are very, very good at bush scouting. I think this thing could be very, very good at bush scouting, but like I said, most people do not like bush scouting because it's sitting in a bush watching things isn't fun gameplay for a lot of people, and for very good reasons. You know, it's World of Tanks. We want to drive around and kill things. We don't want to sit in a bush and watch our teammates kill things. And then, when the time is right, move out of the bush and run around and help kill things. But that is really in my opinion anyway, the only way you're going to get a good result out of this tank. You can, that's not to say you can't play it aggressively and do well, but the odds are stacked against you. It doesn't have the armour, it doesn't have the speed, and while it does have a good gun for a tier 6 light tank, it isn't good enough to kill the kind of things that are going to be shooting back at you in the sort of games it gets into. So playing this thing aggressively, even wolf packing up with other tanks, is just a, well, it's a quick ticket to nowhere. Because if you do wolf pack up with other tanks, the enemy that you run into are going to kill you first because you're the easiest kill, and if they leave you alone, you can be dangerous. And that just makes tactical sense. You know, get rid of one of the bigger, get rid of the faster you remove the enemy guns firing back at you, the better you'll do. And it's very easy to remove you from the battlefield. You only have 690 health. That's 2 shots from an IS or a KV-1S, or God help you if an E75 starts shooting at you, or an ISU-152. You know, and so people tend to kill Type 62s as soon as they possibly can. Not because they're such a massive threat, but because they are so easy to kill, because they're not as fast as a T50-2. I mean, if you were on Malinovka and you saw a T50-2 and a Type 62 racing across the battlefield towards you, which one would you shoot at first? Exactly, you'd shoot at the one that you could kill, and that's the Type 62. So I mean, I think people have rushed out and bought this thing thinking it's going to be another little mini Type 59. It isn't. They've rushed out and bought this thing thinking it's going to be another T50-2. It isn't. It's another Chaffee, but it's not as good as the Chaffee. That doesn't mean it's a bad tank, because the Chaffee's a great tank, and you know, being not as good as the Chaffee isn't a bad thing. But this tank is not for everyone. I think I'll probably have fun in it. I mean, I love playing the Chaffee, so I'll probably have fun playing this as well. But it's a hard tank to do well in, and it's, you know, it's not. And at the risk of getting hate from the Type 59 drivers, and I love my Type 59, but it's easy to do well in the Type 59. You know, there are tanks that it is just easy to do well in. It's easy to do well in the IS-3. It's easy to do well in the IS-7. It's easy to do well in the Type 59. It's not easy to do well in the Chaffee. It's not easy to do well in the T50-2. And it certainly isn't easy to do well in the Type 62. It's just one of those tanks that requires a skilled player to get the most out of it. Am I one of those tank drivers? Not yet. I think I probably could be, but I need a lot more practice. And that's what's going to turn a lot of people off from this thing, because it does require a lot of practice to do well, and most people just don't have the patience for it. You know, that's fine. You know, you play the game the way you want to. But if you have a Type 62 and you're not prepared to put some time and effort into learning how to play the thing properly, I think you're going to be very disappointed with it. So that was the Type 62 Tier 6 Premium Chinese Light Tank. Wow, that was a bit of a mouthful. And that was my first experience on it, on a broad variety of maps and a broad variety of situations, with me playing, you know, not so well and not too badly towards the end. And I hope you enjoyed the replay and maybe learned something. And if you're thinking about buying a Type 62, hopefully this will help inform your decision while the thing's still available in the gift shop. I'm just sorry I couldn't get this video up any sooner. So that was the review. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care on the battlefield, and I'll catch you next time.